2, 1. Let's go, man. Let's go. We here, man. Episode 2. Everything DB. We're back in the building. Myself, yours truly, Darius Butler. We got
Denzel Butler in the building, man. We ready to go. You ready to get things started?
Yeah. Back to what this show's about, man. You know, we just showing love to the DBs. We're dropping game on the DBs, dropping some knowledge.
Yes,
you know, obviously, there's not a lot of shows, not a lot of people out there talking about us and what we do. And obviously, I would say, in my opinion, the most important people on the field.
Definitely.
Especially in defense.
Are you being biased?
Yeah, join the move. We messed up. It's a touchdown, man.
That's a fact. We mess up at 6.
So join the movement, man. You know, reach out some questions. Hey, you guys. I know it's a lot of questions. Even after the first episode, we went over bunches. Take these helmets off.
Yeah. Let's get comfortable, man. Yeah. So like we were just saying though, if you have any questions on any of the videos in the future, just leave a comment and we'll just try to answer as many as we can to anything that you may have been confused about on the last episode.
Everything DB show.
But going into this episode, what we talking about first, Darius? What's going on?
Let me make sure my dog mic right.
Yeah, we all good.
This episode we are talking about the game before the game and just understanding the game. It's gonna go back to the top 3 things of our 5 pillars, and that's studying, communicating, and anticipating.
Before we do that, let's try to shout out some of the excellent play that we done seen throughout this week.
Let's do it, man. We had some great DB play as we do every week, but we don't see it anywhere. So we're gonna talk about these guys. We're gonna start with let's start with a Pro Bowler out in Buffalo. What did he do this week?
We talking about Trey White. They went on the road down in Pittsburgh, primetime game.
Huge game.
He came out there with a key interception. What else did he do?
2 interceptions. He got an interception. He got hurt, banged the shoulder up, came back in the game, got another interception, almost housed it. So shout out to Trey White, leading the league, tied for the league right now with picks. We're 6 right now.
Yep, 6.
Ooh, 6 of the things. Hopefully you get one. Gilly Locke, we can bring him up, man. That's another one. Gilly Locke, Stephon Gilmore, front runner for the Defensive Player of the Year. Yep. He had another 2 interceptions against Cincinnati. He's been his game all season long has been top notch, stellar. He's allowing like a 12 passer rating or something. I saw crazy. Yeah, you better off spiking the ball than throwing at him.
I'm going with my favorite though for mine. I got Tyrann Mathieu.
Okay.
Out there in the cold in Kansas City, snowy game. He had about 2 pressures, a sack, 2 pass deflections. One of the best pass deflections I've seen ever.
Playing through the hands.
Definitely.
Slot fade.
I appreciate that.
On little guy, on the big guy.
Yes, sir.
Played through the hands violently. That's something that we'll get to at this show at some point. But big time. And one more. Pat P. Hometown, Broward County kid. Promised somebody. I think he promised Jay Feely before the game that he was getting an interception, and he got one. He climbed the ladder on a high ball, an overthrown ball.
In the bunch.
Tips and overthrows. We need those. And he got it. So those are shout outs for this week, man. Guys that's been doing it for a while and been doing it at a high level. And a lot of the reasons why they do what they do, especially as consistently as they do it, is because of a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. All of those guys understand the game before they go into it. They are all extremely talented, but the way that they make the plays that they make is they know what's coming before it's coming. Majority of the time, you just can't go out there and just throw it out there and win it.
They're studying, they're communicating before the play, as you can see in a lot of the clips. They're anticipating, and then most importantly, they're executing.
Execute, baby.
So
that's this week's shout outs.
Aski!
All right, as you can see behind us, the theme of today's show is the game before the game. And all that is about going back to those 5 core principles: studying, communicating, anticipating, executing, and correcting. Starting with this episode, we're just focusing on the top 3. Study, communicate, anticipate, right? Going into a game, preparing for it, game planning on your own, watching film. The main thing that you should start with is the personnel, knowing your opponents, knowing who is who's going to be playing that week, and what can each guy do? What does each guy bring to the table? So give me an example of a team.
So if you was going into the Saints, how would you prepare for that game? Like, who are your guys that you're going to be studying? Where they lined up, and what do they do best?
You're playing the Saints. So obviously you're going to start with Michael Thomas. Drew Brees that's the quarterback. You know he can do everything, right? He's first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest all time. You know he can do everything. So you start with the weapons. Mike Thomas would probably be number 1 on the list of weapons. Alvin Kamara would probably be number 2. Then you got Jared Cook. He's a mismatch at tight end. You have Taysom Hill, who's a wild card. He can come in and absolutely do anything. So he would probably be the toughest guy to game plan for, to prepare, because you don't know where he's going to line up. He could be a quarterback, he could be a running back, he could be a receiver. So
I'll focus more on Michael Thomas, try to figure out
he will be number 1. Where's 13 going to be? But receivers, you got to have a plan for him. You're going to double team him, you're going to press him, have a safety over the top. Is he a fast guy? How do we double team him? Bracket him inside and out. So it's a lot of things that you study that go into playing and knowing the game before the game. Another thing is knowing who can do what. Right, so you have back to the Saints. Ted Ginn, he's a burner. 10, what's his name again? Mike, man. I gotta get your mic right, man. You don't like talking to that mic.
Not sure what 10 is.
But 10, okay, 10. He's a burner as well. Michael Thomas, he's more around the sticks, crossing routes, things of that nature. Kamara, he's kind of a wild card. So knowing those things, where they line up. Where they line up is the next thing. So, like, when you have, I know some back in the day when you used to play Peyton and, like, with his old cast of receivers, Reggie Wayne would always be on one side of the formation. Marvin Harrison would always be on the other side of the formation. Or Pierre Garzon would always be on, like, that's, you knew where those guys were going to be lined up. Now it's just about what route concepts are they running. In today's football, it's different. You play D-Hop. You play Julio, you play Keenan Allen. These guys are going to line up all over the field. So knowing that, where they're lined up, why they're there is super, super, super important. What are, I guess, going into each play, right? After knowing where they are, knowing why they're there, what's your thing? I know we got a lot of acronyms as DB. I know you have a good one. What's your acronym for DB?
All right. So my acronym that I got when I was playing college was ASKA, ASKA.
Okay.
I learned this from Coach Otis Mound. Shout out to DB Doctor.
Okay, DB Doctor.
Yes, sir.
High school coach.
Yep. So the first thing that we used to do is alignment. So we need to know where we're going to be aligned, especially as like a nickel, a guy that goes left to right. You got to know if you're going to be lined up nickel left or nickel right, so you can get your corner and your safety on the same page.
It's also very important to communicate that too,
exactly.
to the whole defense. I play nickel a lot as well.
Yeah.
And the first thing coming out of the huddle,
nickel left,
for all my nickels out there, your whole defense should know where you're aligned. Sometimes that sets the coverage. Sometimes that sets the blitz. As soon as you come out, hey, nickel left, nickel right, nickel right.
You have to know that everybody needs to know where you're aligned. Next is S, the stance. Now you want to know if, let's say we're playing cover 1, I'm probably going to be in press. If we're playing cover 4 or something, I'm going to be 5-by-1. Whatever it is, I need to be in the proper stance before the play is started so that I'm ready to go. I don't want to be caught standing up straight or moving left to right. I want to have my knees bent like a cobra, ready to go.
Cobra like the knees. Well, cobras don't have knees.
You know what I mean? They bent.
Ready to attack.
So after we get our stance, we go into our keys. So I want to know who I'm keying. So if I'm, for most of the time,
keys are huge.
You gotta get your run key. You have to know what receiver you're keying. So for most of the time, you're keying number 2 in a lot of coverages. So after I get my key, now it's time for my assignment. So after if let's say we're playing cover 4, right, and I'm a corner, just like Joe Hayden did against Kyler Murray.
Yep.
His key was the number 2 breaking out. When the number 2 broke out, his assignment was to play the out route.
Absolutely.
And as you can see,
it's as simple as that too. Like literally reading your keys, that's a very simple process. Like you have literally one person in some coverages that can tell you, okay, this is how we're going to play our coverage, this snaps. Because something can be called in the huddle, but it can change between 1 or 2 coverages based off who does what. So we're all looking at number 2, and we're both reading our keys. I know, hey, he broke out. I need to break on him as a corner. As a safety, I need to get over number 1.
And once you see that, once you see one player run a route or do something, that will literally show you, like route concepts will come in your head. So if I see number 2 going to the flat early, I'm already having an idea of where number 1 is going to be or the route concept that can come out of that.
Based off what they like to do.
It literally knowing your keys and reading your keys. If everybody does their 111 and reads their keys, the defense is probably going to be all over the play.
Absolutely. So it goes back to that study and that preparation. That way, as a defense, and not only as yourself, because football is the ultimate team sport. Defense, everybody got to be on the same page. That's why communicating is so important. So guys know, hey, this is where two is here, or this is the coverage. If it's 2x2, hey, we're running this. Goes to 3x1, hey, we're running this. It goes from nickel right to nickel left. That's communication. Everybody knows it's going from one coverage to another. Everybody knows their assignment, their alignment, their keys. That goes across the board. So all these things will better prepare you to make huge plays, big time game changing plays. Like the guys that we talked about at the beginning of the show, the Trey Whites, the Stephon Gilmores, the Pat Petersons, the Tyrann Matthews. Like these guys study film, they know their keys, and that way they can attack and break and make these quick game changing plays. They're not just out there playing. That's the difference.
That's what makes them veterans.
That's what makes the difference.
Just seeing all this, seeing so many concepts, seeing so many plays. They play faster because they know what's coming to them. It's not they don't have anything special. They just know what's coming, know how they're trying to be attacked. So the offense has got to study a little bit extra harder when you're going against Tyrann Matthews, Stephon Gilmore.
Exactly.
Don't try to run an out route on Stephon Gilmore.
All right, we're talking about shots, man. Shots.
Darius, what is a shot? On the football field, what is a shot? What are you talking about?
What's a shot? It's a term used by football players, DBs, whenever the offense is going to take a shot at the end zone. They're trying to score. They're trying to put their foot on your neck and end it. End the game, into whatever they need points quick. So,
what are your top two right now? Top 2 times that teams are going to take shots at you. Ready, set, go.
First one, sudden change. And turnover, block, punt, anything. Any turnover and down, especially around midfield. Expect the shot coming out of that sudden change because the defense run on the field, maybe put my helmet back on. Strapping the helmets back on, getting ready. The defense, the OC is going to dial up shots. My second one, like I said, in midfield. We used to call it the alumni section. Between the 40s on the field, the minus 40 and the plus 40, expect the offense to take a shot before they get across the midfield and try to have to, manufacture plays. They want to take a big one and get in the end zone. Tell me two times in college where you can expect.
Me personally, I think shots are going to come in when you get subbed into a game. A corner goes down, whatever, you running on the field, whether it's cold, they feel like you're not warmed up. They're going to try you, so be ready for that, DBs. And my number 2 most expected time for a shot is on second and short.
Waist down.
On the waist down. Second and short. I always believe that when offense feel like they can get it on the third down, they're going to take a shot on second and see if they can get in the end zone.
And that waist down can change too. It's usually second down, second and 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. But if they're in 4-down territory, like late in the game, they're down 2 touchdowns. It's 3rd and 1. That 3rd and 1 kind of changes to a 2nd and 1 because they already know they're going for it on the 4th down. So it's something to just be ahead of the game, man. You bring these things to coaches and other players, they're going to respect you, and you're going to have to continue to bring more to the table. So, shots.
DBs.
Don't get shot.
Yeah. DBs, you got to understand, man. You know when they're coming at you. You have to know when they're coming at you.
Cool to be ready to shoot back.
Exactly.
If you come in there with an ugly jersey number 2, or you got a knee brace on the corner.
In college, if you have a number over 35, then I'm taking a shot at you.
Yes, try it.
35, 36, 37, 38. I went 38 a little bit.
Come on, let's take a shot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.